How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another Bitcoin update. Thank you for tuning in yesterday, where we spoke about the strategic reserve and how some altcoins, including Bitcoin, will be announced into it. So what's going on right now after this market-wide bounce? We've seen that it actually recovered some very key areas of previous support, which were meant to act as resistance, but looking like it's trying to be flipped back in support with the reclaim of this area. So at least in the meantime, I'm going to change the color because it needs to hold the support if you want to see continuation higher. And after a reclaim of the green box, this dump should just be testing it as support once again. But we are not in the clear because this move up yesterday actually closed under the final moving average. So not seeing any real changes to structure in terms of the moving averages. Also in terms of the Fibonacci's price of Bitcoin needs to go through 94.4 and through 96.7 if we want to start to see a further altcoin bounce, a bounce where Bitcoin will go and continue to 101 and 105, which will be the final ultimate resistance. This is technically what's keeping the chart bearish. I've shown many examples in the past. When we get a local bottom right down over there, it's important in order to get a new higher high up to these targets, the 886 needs to break. And unfortunately, when you confirm it as resistance, you're sort of confirming these targets are not happening right now. Maybe one day, once this is taken out again, are those targets then valid? And we've got the same case. Once we had topped out there, we put in a new local lower low. And so we can do the same process again, measuring this entire move down. We can see it rejected the 886. And in order to see those higher up targets, that 886 needs to break. So one day in the future, when it's broken, those targets become valid and we expect Bitcoin to break them. And we can see in the future, it did eventually break and all those targets it met actually exactly. So you can see how important it is for Bitcoin and the rest of crypto, but mainly Bitcoin as this deciding key factor for it to break through that 886 once again. Once we put that lower low, a new local bottom, as this is a completed move down, as we literally see it starting to move back up, it needs to break the 886 if you want to see these future price targets. And as you can see, we came into that final price target absolutely exactly. So what I'm saying, guys, is not coming out my bum. This is the Fibonacci's. If you don't believe in them, that's something to do with your ego. The Fibonacci's are totally outside of Forex crypto stocks. It's got nothing to do with trading, the Fibonacci sequence, but it's applied here and it's calculating that these are the most important levels of resistance. Without breaking it, you don't see those targets. If you break it, you do see those targets. And so once we'd run up into 886, it then put in another lower low. Eventually, this trend was broken. And the only time you saw the 886 broken and flipped into support did we go ahead and meet those targets, as you can see. So it's super important to break through 101, or let's just call it 102 because 975, let's just round it up, and 105.5k. So literally, guys, until that moment, all the bearish scenarios maintain validity. On the recovery of this key level, all those bearish scenarios go out the window. There's little to no chance of them happening, as all bearish scenarios have been invalidated. Recovering all the moving averages first step, taking out the micro 886 and then the macro 886. That is it from me today. Please keep your eyes on these charts. Remember that Bitcoin is yet to even break through 96.7. That is a must that it is reclaimed. This is what initiates the move up into the final resistance. And remembering, from there, we can still put in the lower low, as I've shown you on multiple different occasions. Only on the breakthrough of these two key levels will we argue that all of these targets should get met. And it's going to be fun times ahead. But we are still not there yet. I'm going to maintain these these warnings to you guys on a daily basis until all those levels are recovered. As I've shown you in the past, can get excited, but then of course get trapped. All those buys FOMOing up until the top. If we are to follow those previous paths, then a new lower low could still form. And so you have to invest knowing the risk of that. You can still buy and profit along this move up. I'm not, I'm not actually saying anything apart from be aware. This is a final resistance. It can go to new lower lows. So, the risk that you go ahead and take, of course, do your own analysis, come to your own conclusions. But from those conclusions, then you need to decide your risk, whether you want to risk more than usual, the same, or much less than usual while still under these key levels. And then for me personally, once these two levels are broken, there's nothing standing in the way of the market. I don't see any bearish signals once these levels are broken. But until that very moment, the bearish signals, the paths, the probabilities are still high to the downside. You need to understand this. But if you've been following the updates, I've been saying we need to bounce from down over here, must recover the 200 EMA. That will initiate a move to 100 EMA. That is what we've seen. Then I said this is ultimately the key level of resistance. All moving averages need to be reclaimed, and currently they are not. So the risk is that this key level of support is lost 91k. So 91k has to hold for the daily candle close today in order to attempt the break of this 886.96.7. By breaking that, it initiates a further market-wide bounce into 102 and 105. That is it from me today. Once again, like, subscribe, comment, and share so we can hit 10k as quick as possible. If you want to get educated, you see all the options down below. Head over to the website and jump in.